Just weeks after 9/11, anthrax-laced letters sent to government and media offices in Washington and New York spread fear and panic. Millions were put at risk, scores were infected, and 5 people died.
If you take September 11th and the anthrax attacks on Congress, it was a 1-2 punch on our republic. And I think they were coordinated.
People just thought we were just under siege. It was a perfect sort of storm. And then suddenly now we have anthrax.
If you think about it, the attack was against all of us. It went into the mail system, so that means it had the potential for spores to be delivered into anybody's home.
Despite the largest FBI investigation in history, the anthrax attacks remain a cold case. The FBI's leading theory today is that the attacks were the work of a single individual.
If we read Sherlock Holmes or we read detective stories, you always say, who benefits, who had a motive. But to go to the one-man theory dispels all that. Someone just went out of his mind. He heard the voices, he did something crazy. We don't need a motive.
It is astonishing that the FBI or the government hasn't found out who is responsible.
I personally think the FBI knows exactly who was involved in that anthrax attack on Congress. Moreover, I personally believe there's still a stockpile out there.
Since the anthrax attacks, biodefense has become big business. $44 billion has been spent in the US alone.
Hi, sir. How can I help you?
This is the only privately held biosafety level 4 lab in the world, handling the deadliest pathogens for which there is no cure. It performs classified work for the US government. The facility also happens to be run by a close friend and advisor to President George W. Bush.
I know there are people in the Department of Homeland Security that are taking these threats very seriously. And I just think this has demonstrated why this type of research capability is so important. There are clearly people out there that want to do us harm.
We were actually working with things like anthrax before 9/11. We were able to help the government a lot as the attacks were occurring. But after that, there was a lot more money being given for biodefense. But again, our world has changed since 9/11.
Another factor about privatization is it clouds the chain of responsibility. It creates a mask for what could be government action, because now governments can do things and hide behind private companies.
The United States government is back into offensive biological warfare, and the Pentagon is fully operationally capable today to engage in anthrax warfare. It's like the Wild West out there, and the government's just dispensing money all up and down. This massive proliferation of the biosafety labs all over the country, unregulated research, development, testing. You've had release of biological agents several places, and eventually, this is a catastrophe waiting to happen.
One of the things about organisms is, unlike an oil spill, which may hang around for a long time but eventually will degrade in the environment, even radioactivity eventually decays away. But organisms grow and reproduce. Once they're out there, you can't pull them back.
No one knows better than the people of this Russian city that anthrax never dies. In 1979, 1 gram of anthrax escaped from Compound 19, a secret Soviet germ warfare lab. Thousands were infected. At least 66 people were killed.
Первая мысль была насчет того, что, наверное, может быть, это все-таки не сибирская язва, а чума, потому что чума и сибирская язва, они похожи. Вторая идея была насчет того, что началась биологическая война, что на нас напали. Поскольку мы знали, что это сибирская язва, но ведь мы не знали, какая и откуда. Я не скажу, что я не был испуган. Ну, не должны были эти люди уйти совсем бесследно.
Почему спрашиваете-то? Время-то много прошло. Все больные вот остались, а вот чего. Детей жалко. Вот так. Большинство вот этот вот в этом цехе много умирали. И вот сейчас все больные. И все дети больные, и сами все. В заводе работали, так каждый день ждали, кто умрет, кто чего. Хватило вот так от 19-го городка. Много умирали, ведь раньше сейчас вспомнишь что-то.
В той стране, которая называлась СССР, обеспечить вот такую секретность было не так сложно. Но я вот не очень понимаю, как это делается в Штатах. Это я не понимаю.
Today, Compound 19 remains highly guarded, off limits to international inspections. It is suspected that the Russians continue to develop biological weapons behind these walls.
It's now obvious that a fresh round of a new arms race is starting. Unfortunately,
in his farewell address as Russian president, Vladimir Putin warned that Russia may be forced to respond to the West's multi-billion-dollar bioweapons program.
Most of the scientists have been bought off with dirty money to engage in biological warfare, research, and development. So it's going to be up to you and to me to stop this, to reduce it, to bring it under control. If we do not, our children could suffer a biological catastrophe, and I kid you not.